Hey, so welcome to my channel, Darius Game Reviews. So in this channel, on this channel, I will be reviewing games that I enjoy. So the first video will be one of my favorite series that I am playing to date, or have played to date, and that would be the Dark Souls series. I really enjoy this series, especially the third one, because of its heavy encouragement on exploration. Like, the rewards you get for exploring is amazing. Just it's got a wonderful, like, dark undertone of a world, but it's still very, fantasy. And I really enjoy the games because the difficulty has been crushing, awfully, like, crushing. And so I had to persist, and I have. I can't really show you that I have, but I'll show you that I got the game. So, what I have here is Dark Souls 3 and Dark Souls Remastered. And I really enjoy Dark Souls 3 out of 2 and 1, mostly because of, well, it was the first one I played, which a lot of people say you shouldn't play the third one first, but I got it when I was in grade 7, and I had a rough time. So it took me about a year to actually get into the game when I didn't have PlayStation Plus or anything, so I couldn't really play any online games. I didn't want to spend upwards of $25 to $70 depending on the subscription I was getting. So I beat Dark Souls a couple times in a row on the same character. If I were to show you that, I'd have to turn on the console, and I don't want to do that, so you're just gonna have to have my word for it. But I can't go into in-depth review, but I'll give you my full opinion. So, Dark Souls 3 is, like, from a graphical standpoint, pretty good. Like, it was made in 2016, and it still looks pretty good. I mean, it may not look as good as the new Demon Souls remake that is going to be happening later up the line, which I'm really excited about. I've never been able to play Demon Souls. I saw a copy once, and it was for $25, believe it or not, and I didn't have my wallet with me, and so it was heart crushing. And so, more into depth with Dark Souls 3 is, I really like, it was made in the same engine as Bloodborne, I believe, so the speed is a little less than Bloodborne, but still faster than your regular Dark Souls. And I like the speed compared to the first one, because the first one, to me, it's good. I love the interconnected world and the general atmosphere of it, or the vibe. I was gonna say vibe. say vibe. I just really, it was hard going to the first Dark Souls after beating the third one, because the first one, like, it was slower, and since it was slower, all the enemies were slower too, right? And so instead of dodging a little bit faster or anything like that, it was more of, I have to preserve, I have to, like, more think it through a little bit more than to rapidly spam roll than I would in Dark Souls 3. Like, I really like the bosses in Dark Souls 3. I think my favorite boss would have to be, maybe around the lines, my favorite boss is Sister Frida. She's really difficult. I beat a lot of the bosses on summons, but it was just mostly random people, because barely any of my friends, or people within my age group, really play Dark Souls, which I am 15, by the way, so that is how that works. And it's kind of hard, to really get them into it. So when I got them into it, I finally had friends to play it with, and when I did, it was more along the lines of I carried them through the game. I may not look like a intense gamer. Like, I got a headset. It's the closest thing to make me look like an intense gamer. Maybe a Zelda Took, you know. But that's about all. Oh, and that poster back there. So yeah, the first Dark Souls is really good though too. Like, I really enjoyed the last boss of Dark Souls 1, and the Bed of Chaos. Even though the Bed of Chaos is a cheap mess, it was still pretty good because I on the internet I heard like all these bad things about the Bed of Chaos, how it like swipes you away and it's more of a like, I mean it was more like a puzzle boss if anything, which isn't inherently bad. I heard Demon Souls has a lot of bosses kind of like in a puzzle manner, and I actually beat the Bed of Chaos rather quick thanks to seeing multiple people die to it. So that was good. I was really like kind of looking forward to seeing if I would kind of suffer through that. That sounded really bad. And like Dark Souls 1 compared to Dark Souls 3 has a very different atmosphere, even though it's very similar in ways. It's different in the way like it has a particular feel, like the methodical way, like the methodical movement of it kind of shifts the tone of the game for me because I have to think things a little bit more through. I mean, Dark Souls 3 is amazing though. Like, I really enjoyed the environments, how it like rewarded you for exploring, and the weapon arts and the magic and the armors. And most of the general mechanics are great. The stat system was awesome. Like, the Dark Souls stat systems I just love. They're really good. I usually go, since like Dark Souls 3 caters to a strength build, so I went with the strength build the first new game, and then I would shift it over to a mage, and then a dex, and then I tried a faith build. It did not work good. And so Dark Souls 1 faith builds are okay. I've heard things about faith builds and they're okay. I'm not very good at in-depth reviews, I will admit, but it's just my opinions about the game. Like I love the Dark Souls series, very good. Dark Souls 2, on the other hand, like I remember playing Dark Souls 2 for the first time like earlier this year, maybe like first couple months into the year, and I hated it. Like a lot of the people who played Dark Souls 2, it felt really different from the first Dark Souls. Like the first Dark Souls and the third Dark Souls feel amazing because they just feel very fluent and smooth. And even though like the first one's slower, it still feels like well crafted, very well put together. The environments, the enemy placements, you know, how the game progresses, how it links up. They're all pretty good. I mean, some bosses I would say were a little bit disappointing, like the Fire Sage. I did not like just fighting a Fire Sage. I kind of wanted to fight something more, or the weird kind of like beetle thing in right after right like the demon area. Ceaseless Discharge was fine, but then I learned how to cheese it. So most of the bosses in Dark Souls 3 were fine. I thought it was fine. Like, I really enjoyed Grundir the first time around. Champion Grundir was fun. I enjoyed Nameless. Frida was my most favorite, just because of how like good it looked and the really cool thing with fire and ice, and the Scythe was awesome to get after the boss fight. The Ring City DLC was like pretty hard. It took me so long to finish it, but it was really rewarding, and like the Demon Princes, they utterly destroyed me at the first, like they still destroy me even now, just because of how tanky they can be. Like when there's only one left, it becomes like the bigger guy, you know. And it still great DLC along with Ashes of Ariandel. Dark Souls 1, I bought this copy at a pawn shop, so like I don't know if it still has like the DLC in the code, or it came with like a piece of paper on the inside that scans a code, and then I get the DLC. But I have beaten the vanilla game, which is great. I mean, I parried Gwyn a lot, but then he somehow, well, I just got cocky. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. Ornstein and Smough were one of my favorite boss battles from Dark Souls 1, just because, I mean, it was difficult, but it was just very fun at the same time, having to dodge both of them, and depending which one you killed first, you get a different type of enemy, right? And it was just really cool. And yeah, like I said, the Asylum Demon is a good first tutorial boss. Like the one underneath him, I don't know, I expected a little bit more. Same thing with the fire stage, like I said earlier. I kind of wanted something else. Some bosses felt like filler. Same thing with the Deacons of the Deep. The Deacons of the Deep are annoying if, they're easy, but sometimes if you don't have a good build, they can be absolute hell, especially on New Game Plus 3. And I experienced that firsthand using a mage build with low health. And I mean, I eventually beat them with Brilliant Mist, but either way, I kind of wish there was a better boss there. It was just a bit of a gank, but I don't mind it. Pontiff was really good. Pontiff was also a pain in the ass. Very difficult. But I really enjoyed just the theme of Pontiff's theme, you know, the music in the background, the environment was very it's very out there comment, but I really enjoyed the floors. Like I said, the environments in Dark Souls 1 and 3 are amazing. Soul series is some of my favorite games to play to date. Dark Souls 2, Scholar of the First Sin edition it's a good game. I got into it. I guess I should look in the camera like this. Oh, that's weird. Okay, so I guess I'll rearrange it so I look in the camera. Okay, so Dark Souls 2 was it was decent. I haven't beaten the game, but I've gotten up to the king, and I think I'm doing the DLC now, so that's cool. Like the Foom Knight is, I still haven't beat it. It took me 3 weeks to get anywhere close to beating him. Dark Souls 2 is weird just because of the dodging. Like, it has tons of weapons and great New Game Plus stuff. Like, I'm really happy about that. But I just kind of wish it added, I don't know. It's different, so it isn't stale per se, and it adds challenge. But I mean, I kind of wish it was just more. The dodging was a little bit better. I heard the hitboxes are dodgy, but I feel like that's just an excuse for how the dodging works and how it's a little bit precise in a different way. I haven't beaten Bloodborne. I like Bloodborne, but it's a bit fast-paced for me. Just a little bit, so I'm going to get into that later. I have Sekiro, but that's also a bit fast-paced. So, I plan to beat those eventually. If you don't believe me, then that's fine. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and that'll be all.